All right. Hello. We've got Katie Morgan here running for Clark County Commissioner, District 1. How are you, Katie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You're my last interview, so we're going to jump right into it.
Even better.
I know. We'll jump right into it. What are your best qualifications for the position, and what's your primary motivation for running?
Well, I would say my best qualifications are I started my career in environmental science, so I bring a unique outlook and perspective when it comes to the zoning and planning and environmental risk mitigation, and things that will just be better for all of us here in the county, the people, the animals, the environment, everything, so that we make sure that we're doing things appropriately and not we're having smart growth. Let's put it that way. My main motivation for running is really just seeing all the corruption that's been going on around here for so long. I found myself constantly asking the question, why doesn't somebody do something? Why doesn't somebody do something? And then one day I was like, you know what? Maybe I can be somebody. Let's see. Let's see what happens.
And if you could summarize in a nutshell, what do you hope to accomplish during your term if elected?
Oh, well, I would really like to get a county-run EMS system in place because I feel the private sector has failed us for a long, long time, even before New Chapel. It has a tendency of turning people into dollar bills, and that's what becomes more important is the profit rather than the people it's supposed to serve. And considering our tax dollars are already going to pay for this, we need to make sure that there is an acceptable service there. There are ways. I've been checking with other counties that have similar services. So there are ways of making it budget neutral. I've also just discovered some grant programs that would be able to help ease any kind of burden because I don't think there should be too much of a tax burden. I've heard that it will, obviously it costs more, but I think it will be self-sustaining within 3 or 4 years easily. So that's
Okay.
that's definitely top of my list.
Okay. How would you do things differently than those who currently serve as commissioner?
Well, first, I would encourage open dialogue and make sure that there was streaming, which you've done a fabulous job of. But I definitely think that there should be much more open dialogue during the meetings. I know that they do meet during executive session and they discuss things. They kind of have ideas in their head of how they really want to go when they get into the public meetings. But I think it's really important for the voters to be able to hear what's going on during each decision. And unfortunately, right now, you kind of go in and it's just a rush through like, hey, we're going to take up number blah, 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 blah. Nobody has a clue what that means. There's a motion, there's a second, there's a vote, they're done. And everybody's like, so what just got passed? I think that we need to definitely put more of that back into the hands of the people so they have an idea and a say so in what's going on in their lives and their community.
And you would be one vote and only one of three commissioners. But would you be willing to commit to full transparency to your constituents? For example, will you support, which you said that you would, video recorded streamed meetings, including administrative meetings or any meeting outside of executive session, making all minutes, contracts, ordinances, and resolutions available on the county website, and ensure distribution of packets of documents that support upcoming topics to be voted on ahead of the meetings so that constituents can engage and participate in decisions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, currently, and you already addressed this as well, but public comments are constrained to 3 minutes each. And we're told that the commissioners do not need to respond or answer questions, although some members volunteer to do so. Would you be in favor of increasing the 3 minute time limit, depending on the situation, and answering questions during public comment?
Yes, I think that that's very important. Like I said, the communication is the key. And if you're sitting there refusing to answer when a constituent is telling you their opinion, you're not opening the dialogue to let them know you're even really listening. And, you should probably be asking questions as to why they feel the way they do. And because sometimes you can just come up with a compromise much easier if the information is out there, rather than just trying to push through things and hope that, they'll forget about it by the time it's time to vote again.
How are you going to ensure the public gets the opportunity to express their desires on a particular agenda item? How will you communicate with those you represent?
Hmm. Well, on top of what's already kind of we discussed, like with handing out the packets, meeting agendas and things like that. Um, I mean, I could easily just do it on my Facebook page. I could have a candidate or I guess commissioner page at that point where I could post everything so people could keep up with it. Honestly, I had not thought about it too much. I'm sorry.
Something to think about.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Had some time to study the roles and responsibilities of this position. Have you familiarized yourself with past minutes, budgets, contracts, ordinances, resolutions, and policies for the position you're running for?
Quite a few, but obviously not all. It's a pretty extensive list. But yeah, I have been going back and trying to read through and try to figure out where we got to certain places. And unfortunately, as we already discussed, some of it's kind of just cut and dry, so you can't tell really what it was that was passed.
Have you and will you attend other county and or local government meetings while in office to keep informed on planning, future growth, current issues, and a general overall perspective on what other elected officials are doing that affect your decision-making process?
Most definitely. I do that now, even when I am not able to attend, I tend to watch the videos to make sure that I know what's going on.
Now, the following questions are ones that we feel are important to Clark County voters right now. Do you have any relatives, close friends, business partners serving in a government position on a government board as an elected official or in the building, development, or real estate fields here in Clark County?
I mean, not really. I know a lot of people. I am friends with a few politicians that are currently in because I've helped them with their own campaigns. Um, but I mean, it's not like we were childhood friends or anything. It's just, yeah, I just know a lot of people.
Okay. And outside of county administrative powers, commissioners can sit on various committees and boards. What is your view on industrial solar projects being placed on agricultural land in Clark County?
Well, I do side with personal property rights quite a bit, but that's only if it does not infringe upon the rights of their neighbors. And in this case, there are too many neighbors that are bringing up serious concerns that I think really need to be considered before we really just jump into this wholeheartedly. We need to, excuse me, get a better understanding of what the exact issues are and how we can try to work around those issues if there is a way to work around them. And if there isn't, then we need to think of a different uh, avenue or different placement, something. But I mean, I would like to see things move more toward a green way, green energy and more sustainable. But again, I don't want to rush into that and then us having to dig ourselves out of a huge mess later. And so I don't know if we need to look at some kind of like maybe the solar industries need to put back a certain amount of money to clean up for any remediation whenever that's done. Honestly, I'm not sure. There's so many different facets in this. And I want to, like I said, I want to make sure that everybody is satisfied and no one's rights are infringed upon.
Along those same lines, what is your view on the current Clark County Comprehensive Plan and developing and rezoning agricultural land here in Clark County? How can we balance development with maintaining agricultural land responsibly?
Well, what I'm seeing is the development has kind of gotten out of hand. We are definitely not meeting the goals of the comprehensive plan at all. We've actually I think we've overdeveloped in a lot of areas, and I think that is causing a lot of problems, especially when there are small county roads that can't maintain. I mean, it's not just that, there's the other infrastructure like, sewage, utilities, all these things that need to be thought of prior to the development, rather than let's develop and say, oh, well, it'll come later naturally, because that's not that's not really true. That's putting the burden back on the taxpayer because that's let's get in here, let's get our money. And then once there are people living here, well, guess what? You, the government, are going to have to raise their taxes because they're upset and they want the services they thought they were going to have. And That's part of the reason our property taxes do continually increase because we're putting the cart before the horse. And we really need to start fixing the infrastructure and then saying, okay, now we're ready for some growth.
Okay. River Ridge Development Authority is a quasi-governmental body who is able to bring companies into the area and conduct business without citizen input or knowledge until contracts are already signed. As an urban enterprise zone and TIF district, they also retain generated tax income and revenue that does not go back into the community like a standard district. Do you believe there should be more continuity between River Ridge Development Authority and Clark County government? And will you attend River Ridge board meetings, give input, and seek property tax revenue from River Ridge to fund needed infrastructure improvements?
Yeah, most definitely. That sounds extremely important that we should definitely be involved. We should know exactly what's happening. And honestly, we should have a say if they're giving tax abatements or anything else to these companies to come in, because again, where's that cost burden going to fall? It's always going to fall back to the taxpayer, and that's just not fair. We're being taxed to death right now. Our property taxes are just skyrocketing, and it's to make up for all these different losses and including stolen tax funds. So this is just ridiculous. We have paid so much and we've had so much taken from us. We need to be looking on if they need more money for things, they need to be looking on getting that money back that was taken. There are too many people out there that benefited from this and they still have it. So, and why can I just say his name? I mean,
Yes.
okay. I mean, why is he still getting a pension that the taxpayers are paying for after he's stolen all of our taxes? This is insane to me. I just don't understand what, in what world this makes sense. This is how we could get our money back and we don't have to make our taxpayers continue to do it. Sorry, little rant.
Okay. As a commissioner, you will not be a full-time employee of the county, but you will be offered a full medical insurance benefit. Some constituents are not okay with paying for this benefit to less than full-time employees, and others are okay with it. What's your position on this topic, and will you be taking county insurance?
Well, honestly, I don't need the insurance because my husband's a retired veteran, so we have TRICARE. Um, so I don't think I would take it. The only reason I could think of even taking something like that is it if it's a buy-in to where there's a certain amount in the office, so that way it's cheaper for everybody, because I wouldn't want to like be the one to screws everybody over. So that would probably be the only reason I would consider it. Otherwise, I don't need it. Oh,
Okay.
which in my opinion saves the taxpayer money, but again, I could be wrong. So that's why I'm like, I don't want to make a hard, fast decision on that until I know all the ins and outs.
And the current landfill is nearing capacity with a series of expansions over decades. Residents complain of foul odors, traffic, wastewater concerns, a lack of accountability and oversight, and the lack of planning for rapid growth, especially with River Ridge in Clark County. Have you looked into any plans and funds for closure and post closure? And what are your thoughts on solutions for handling the landfill needs?
Yeah. So I used to live by the landfill and I can attest to those smells. It's pretty horrendous. The summertime, a lot of times we'd wake up in the morning and we're searching the entire house trying to figure out where the smell was coming from before we realize, oh, it's coming from outside. That's pretty bad. And I mean, it's not like I live right next door. I lived far enough away, I shouldn't smell it at all. So yeah, there is clearly an issue there. I'm not sure exactly what's causing it. I do know that, as you said, we're about to reach capacity and we desperately need to make certain upgrades so that we can do a vertical expansion. Because as you said, with this increased amount of growth, we're just going to continue to have more and more to put in there. Honestly, I think at this point, with how much of an issue this has become, it might be easier for us to try to find a way to close this landfill and find another landfill placement before we have to start shipping our stuff to Louisville, because that will cost taxpayers an arm and a leg as well.
Clark County has a history of contract EMS services. Due to the current EMS scandals, we have another temporary EMS contract in place. The EMS committee has been discussing a county based municipal and or fire-based solution to our EMS deficits for years. What is your position on continuing EMS contracts versus transitioning to a government-run solution, even though you alluded to that earlier
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. Well, obviously, I want there to be a county-run service. I do know that it's the most expensive option as of right now, but I think that it's only expensive to get operational. Once we're operational, it will be net neutral. We won't have to worry about it, and we're not increasing taxes. So in the meantime, we really need to do more of a hybrid model. So right now, because we do have a short-term contract in place, we will use that and also use some fire base. So we can kind of have a hybrid model working with those as we transition out the contracts. We have the fire base along with a partial county run until we're able to transfer fully. That way, we're never lacking any services for anyone, and it will help lessen the tax burden of the initial costs.
Okay. Property taxes seem to be increasing for most property owners in Clark County, significantly for many. The commissioners and council work together to set the county budget. Some local representatives allege that they have no control over property taxes. What is your view on the role that commissioners can play in property taxes, and will you have any power to make a difference in that area?
To be honest, I don't really know. That's that's just, yeah, the honest truth about it. I'm not sure exactly who, because isn't it more the assessor and the auditors that come up with those? That's what I thought. So I'm not sure the commissioners will be able to do a lot about it. I mean, because trust me, I'd like to have lower property taxes too. But I wouldn't do it for just me, obviously. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a lot I can do, but if there is, I'll see what I can figure out.
Okay, perfect. That's all the questions we have for this interview, but what other topics are important to you that we may not have covered, and what do you want voters to know?
Uh, I think you covered everything pretty well. Actually, you're pretty thorough. I appreciate
You.
that. Um, Yeah, I just want the voters to know that I am fully here and I fully believe in servant leadership. I don't think that our elected officials are supposed to sit up on what they think is like a throne or a pedestal and not listen to their constituents. They're there to work for the people. And that's what I mean when I say that I'm a servant leader. I'm there to serve the people. I'm there to listen to their concerns and try to do anything I can to help fix any problems we have because I've just always seen myself as a bit of a problem solver. I tend to be really, really good at that kind of stuff. Maybe not other things. But pretty good at solving problems and coming up with really decent solutions to try to find compromises. So I just would really like the voters to know that that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this to make sure that we have a better community that we deserve because it's kind of been taken away from us for a very long time. And I would like to restore some integrity back to this area.
Okay, great. And how can voters learn more about you, support your campaign, and get in touch with you?
Yeah, my website is katie4commissioner.com. I'm also on Facebook, Katie Morgan for Commissioner. And let's see, I've got my phone number listed on my website and my literature, but just in case, it's 502-276-5292. Feel free to give me a call anytime. I love to talk and I love to hear love to hear what people have to say. So I try to be pretty approachable.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for taking this time with us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me.